Hi, Lacey. Hi, Gary. This is Stephen with Fairs Management Interactive, and this is just an informal, quick video note to help you get started. I'm going to be traveling in the next few days, so I thought I'd at least give you a head start with this video guide. Here is your splash page for your YAML County planner, and I've sent you the usernames and passwords. Let's go ahead and we'll log in as Lacey. So as you'll notice that we have branded this site with your logos and such. We can use any color combinations that you'd like to use for your themes. This is just one we picked out. And this is just the start of your planner. I want to emphasize that creating these planners for the individual fairs is an incremental process. We don't want to put you in a position of having to produce all the information at once. You guys have done a fantastic job with the information you have given me, and now it's a matter of interpreting it. So let's just get started, and I'll show you some of the things we've done, and we'll talk about interpreting the mapping information that you provided. So on this workout on this workspace is this drop down on the right, and it shows some outdoor areas and it shows some buildings and barns that we've started for you. Here's your all grounds. This is a high resolution map. And we can zoom in, zoom out, and pan. We can also measure distances and square footages. I just dropped these crosshairs right here and here. And the X pattern is the absolute horizontal distance. It doesn't take in consideration that the two markers are out of line in the up and down position. The Y is the absolute vertical distance. It doesn't take in consideration that these crosshairs are off center right and left. This arrow in both directions is the absolute distance between these two. So it measures on angle. And then this here is the square footage for that square that creates. Now, we can, at your direction, isolate any areas on these maps for specialized use, so it makes it convenient for you to do layout work. One of the things you'll see is you'll see some vehicles. Let me zoom in here a little bit on your map. One of the things we'll be doing over time is photoshopping these all out so that you have a clear layout area to work over top of. Now, so what we've done is we've at random chosen an area to isolate. So here is your park and midway area, and you can see what we've done is again cut out a section that we anticipate that you'll be wanting to work on in terms of creating your fairground. Now your buildings, here's your arena that we built at your direction. One of the things that we anticipate is there's things wrong or things that need more detail, and over time you can direct us for that. You can either use the planner to do it, or you can simply print this out and write on it in terms of corrections or adjustments you want. Take a picture of it with your cell phone and email it to us. I'll show you the Lewis Pavilion. I believe that's the correct name for it. And here what we've done is we've looked at the absolute dimensions that you provided us, 100 by 75, and we can see that they do not actually match the column separation measurements that you gave us. In other words, using the 18 feet and the 14.2 adds up to more than 100 feet. So what I did was take the 5 columns, divided them evenly into 14-foot 2 sections, and then centered it both ways on your hall. That was an assumption, but if that's not correct, you guys can just let me know. And you can see it made it 17 foot 11 and a quarter on each side when we centered it. So those are some of the areas. Here's a barn, and as I discussed in my email, we can add things to make it the working area a little more accurate in terms of space planning. If you're going to be trying to stock in inventory machinery, or you're going to actually have an event, or you want to create stock pens for shows on each side, we can take in consideration that as a pole barn there is less space available here. Well, let's go ahead real quick and jump into some of the tools. We'll just open up your arena for the as a convenience. And what we have here on the left, you'll see, is a booth control. There's a single booth control right here, and that controls the individual booths. But what we have here is a booth pod control, and this is very interesting because it allows us to automatically lay out booths in groups. So if we were to put 20 booths in a row, and we left them at 10 foot by 10 foot booths, and then we said the number of aisles 3, and we put the width of the booths, let's go ahead and leave it at 10. I know that's going to be wrong, but let's go ahead and leave it at that. And let's go ahead and make it a horizontal layout, which means it's going to be the booths will be lining up left to right. And we hit new, and there you go. It's automatically numbered. I knew that we had more room than that because of the dimension of our hall. So you can see at each end, up and down, we have some room left over. I simply hit this and go delete. And my point here is it's easier actually than trying to calculate to guess, because it only takes a few seconds. I'm going to add on some distance to the width of our aisles, hit new again, and then we just, by this little, what we call a pod handle, drag it into place. We go ahead and in the single booth control, we delete. We're going to do the same thing over here. Now watch this. If we go ahead and delete this end here, and then we click on that booth and we change it to a 20 by 20, we can edit it. If we want to cut out these booths, then we can of course make it an aisle. I'm going to delete this booth right here. Now if I try to move these booths around, I can't, because we have a little tool here that's the single booth move. So if you try to move your booths around and you can't, it means this is unchecked. The reason why we have this checked and unchecked is when you're wanting to put the vendors names into the booths, or do some other things where you're editing the characteristics of the booths, you don't want to accidentally nudge them. So when we're editing, we'll keep this on like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a rotation on it. Hit OK. And let's go ahead and change the size. We'll say 8 feet, and we'll say 15. Oops, I didn't like that. Let's go ahead and rotate it the other way. So we'll go ahead and rotate a solid 45 degrees. That's better. And now we can drag it into place. And that's pretty much it. That's how it automatically lays out your halls. But let's go ahead and lay it the other direction. I'm going to delete this. So let's go ahead and make 8 booths in a row. Keep it at 10 by 10s. Make it 7 aisles. And go ahead and make the width of the aisles 10 feet. Now this time, instead of orienting it horizontally, we're going to orient it vertically. And you'll see there's 2 sets of horizontals and 2 sets of verticals. And that's because those arrows indicate whether it's going to automatically number from left to right or right to left, which is important because it usually depends on which side of the hall your entrance is on as to how you want to number them. So when I click this, now look at here. This is a good example. I left that booth default rotated. And this may happen to you too, so I'm glad this occurred. All I do is I go down and hit this advanced control, this asterisk. I change it to 0. So this means now when I automatically lay them out, they'll be correct. And I drop it in. Now, here we see, again, we see, whoops, that's just way too many aisles. It's real simple. You go ahead and click delete. Let's cut it way down so we can put a dance floor in. So let's go ahead and say 5 aisles. Hit new. So you can see in just a minute or two, we've gone through creating our layout. So I'm going to cut this out for our entrance. And I'm going to go ahead and borrow one of these booths. By borrow, I mean if I click a booth, instead of saying OK, I hit new, it makes a copy. If I put it over here, and I go ahead and let's change the character of it to a geometric, and you'll see here we've got, these are our icon lists, and we have everything from, you see here, gooseneck trailers to tents to bleachers, all kinds of objects, including just colored geometric objects. So I'm going to make a red box. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to change it to 30 feet by, let's say, 16, and I'm going to in here write down stage. Now you can't get away but with just a few characters because it's meant for booth numbering, but I still like to do this sometimes. And there we go, there's our stage. Now if I make another copy, drag it over here, increase the size, let's go ahead and increase it to 50 by 25. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. And then I'm going to go ahead and change the color to a green box. Hit OK, and I'm going to change the name to Dance. And now I'm going to hit OK. That green didn't show up, so I want to go ahead and let's change the colors. And these, I'm going through all the things that you'll probably do and then wonder, well, it's not quite what I wanted. So there you go. Now you've made your dance floor and your stage. So let's go ahead and delete this. We're going to look at one more thing for our automatic layouts. We're going to go into our advanced control and our icons, and we're going to scroll down, and we're going to go till we get to a round table with numbers. And we hit OK. Now that's the default. We're going to change the booth size to 6 foot by 6 foot. We're going to go ahead and leave the number of booths in the row an 8. We're going to go ahead and say the number of aisles 8. And we're going to go the width of aisles 10. Now, for this, because we're making round tables and we're making a banquet setup, I'm going to make the starting number 1. I'm going to make the numbering, here we go, we can see this up and down. We're going to make the numbering go up and down instead of even odd like they do in exhibit halls. And I'm going to do a staggered layout, which is how you usually do it in a banquet setup. And I'm going to put some separation on it. This separation number is actually relative to the size of what you're going to lay out for banquet, but it's very easy to work with. I hit OK. Now when I hit new, now I've got my banquet set up. And I can do the same thing as we did before. I can click one of these guys, hit new, drag him over here, make a 30 foot by 40 foot, let's say, stage. Well, let's make it 20 foot stage. And I'm going to type in stage. Now, watch this. When I go ahead and hit OK, it's going to keep that round icon until I do something different, until I choose a rectangle. So I hit OK, and there's an oval, which you may have an oval stage someday. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and slide on up and get into the, whoops, red box and hit OK. And there's my stage. So there you have it on the automatic numbering and the booth pod control. But let's go ahead and see what you would do outdoors for your fairground. Let's go ahead and look at our midway. Now again, when we look at the midway, we'll see that we can zoom way up and the resolution stays pretty darn good. So when we're laying out for the insides of buildings, using the automatic booth controls is pretty convenient. But when we're working in the outside areas, we don't really line up booths like we do inside. The booths are scattered and there's lots of different types of objects that are on the layout. So let's go ahead and show you how we use the booth pod control to do that. Everything you lay out is a pod by definition, but right now we just want to make what we call a minimum pod, which is one booth in a row and one aisle. Now I'm going to make the booths really large, and this just makes it convenient on the larger plans to be able to spot your booth and drop it into place. So when I hit new, there's my triangular booth handle. I'm going to drag it down here to get it out of the way. I'm going to click on one of these and I'm going to delete it. Now remember, we have to have this single booth move checkbox checked to be able to drag the booth. I'm going to drag it over here, and now I'm going to make it the size in the single booth control of, let's say, a food vendor trailer. Let's say it's 12 by 18. And I'm going to hit OK. If I hit new, it makes a copy. If I hit OK, it changes that booth. So there we are. Now I'm ready to zoom in and start building up the booths. And what I do is I will build this booth and then I'll make copies. So if I know I have several of that size, or I want to make them all uniformly that size in one section, I'll hit new several times and then drag them into place. Now, typically I don't start numbering until I'm pretty far into the layout, so I know what the traffic flow is going to be like, and the numbering will make sense. But let's go ahead and number these. So I click, hit 101, hit OK, 102, hit OK, and 103, and hit OK. Now, if I want to sell that vendor booth, I click on it, and I click the sales planner. I fill in the company name. I fill in a product description. Whoops. Just 1 second here. I dropped my mouse. There we go. Okay. Now below that, we can put notes. Let's say water service or something like that that's needed at that. But those first two, that's what the public will see when we have the public sized online. We have a public access plan that allows you to show the public what you want them to see. So then I give the booth a status. Now we have a certain status description here, but you can use it for whatever you like for the games people and the food vendors, and just have a different color for each so you can easily spot what you have there. You hit OK, and now it's changed. If I go to this exhibitor data and click on that booth, it'll show me what's there. So when you get more complicated, you can click on booths to see what's there, or you can do a search either by the booth number or by the exhibitor name. And let's go ahead, we'll type in 100, and you'll see that it blinks when you do a search. Now there's more things on a fairground than just booths. So maybe we need a tent. So what do? I go to my booth layout tab. I go and hit new. I'm constantly borrowing from one object, and I'm going to go ahead and hit this asterisk. This is my advanced control, and I'm going to go into my drop down. Now, use these arrows, not the slider, because there's so many objects here, it'll go too fast. I'm looking for my tents. There it is. So I click that. There's a tent. Now we're going to go ahead and put it to size. Let's go ahead and call it 70 by 60. And let's say it's going to be a beer tent. Hit OK. And I drag it into place. Now let's say I want to put it on an angle. I hit that asterisk sign again. Put the angle down. And there it is. Now let's go ahead and see what else we can put on there. We're going to go ahead and make that another copy. It's going to copy it without the rotation. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And now I'm going to put a carnival ride on here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this just so it doesn't distract me. I hit OK. Now I'm going to go look for the carnival rides. I hit my asterisk sign, go to my drop down, and here you go. We have, these are industry standard rides. We worked with several of the manufacturers to get the specifications. This is called the Aviator. We hit OK. We happen to know it's 90 by 90 because it called it out in that schedule. We hit OK. Let's go ahead and make a Ferris wheel too. So now watch this. We're going to hit new. So this is a 90 by 90 shape. We're going to go to our Ferris wheel. It says it's 31.75 and 83.2. We're going to call it 32 by 84. Now when I hit it, it's misshapen because it still has that 90 by 90. So all you have to do is go back in here, hit 32 and 75 and hit OK. And now you can drag that into place. Now there's lots of different ways you can use this too, not just for event planning. You can use it for building plans. Let's go ahead and I'm going to make a copy of our beer tent. I'm going to hit new. I'm going to zoom way out. And this is probably too big for this drawing, but watch what I do here. I'm going to go all the way down to a demonstration area we have. Here's a 500 by 300 foot arena. So it's a floor plan. But if your board wants to evaluate some build outs, I make it resized, hit OK. Whoop, and I did it the wrong way. Let's try it again. 300 by 500. So you can see, let me delete that, that on our larger plans, if you have a building plan that you'd like to provide to us, we can help you evaluate space planning with it. But in this drop down, there's many objects. Up at the top here, we've got alphanumerics, so that means that you can put, let me do one just so you can see it. I'm going to hit new. I'm going to make it 20 by 20. So you can label certain areas. And there's an A, and you have your A and your B areas, and then you can have a text schedule or a guide to go along with these labeled areas. But as I was saying, if you go up here to the top, we've even got a lot of vehicles like gooseneck trailers, horse trailers, campers, cattle semis, sorting pens, rodeo arenas. But if there's something that you need, an object that has a specific geometry that you need to put in these plans, just let us know. Give us a rough description or sketch, and within 48 hours, you'll find it in your list on your planner. Well, I think I've kept you enough. Again, we just wanted to get you a little kickstart here, and this is an unedited version of my video note. So it's a little longer than usual, and it's a lot rougher than usual, and I appreciate you taking the time to check it out. So jump into your planner. You can't hurt a thing, and we'll schedule a learning session with you in the following week and get you started working with some of these other plans. Thanks. This is Stephen with Fairs MI.